Hello everyone, I'm Mike from the Learning Center, and in this mini workshop, we're going to be talking about how to read a syllabus. Do it thoroughly. All right, have a good night. All right, in all seriousness, there's a bit more to it than that, but the crux of the matter is you want to make sure that when you get a syllabus for a class, that you go through and that you read it very, very with a fine-toothed comb to pull out any information. Most of your questions that you may have can be found here in the syllabus. Let's talk about it. At the very top of this, I need to thank Professors Altman, Pickering, Littlejohn, and Kleiber for their advice in letting me use their syllabi for this workshop. So the first thing that you'll typically see is the name of the course and where they meet. So next, you'll typically find the professor and their contact information. If you need to get a hold of them, that's how you do it. From here, syllabi can tend to deviate and come in all shapes and sizes. So your syllabus may not match the exact order, but all this information is typically included somewhere in there. You have the very broad information about the course, which keep these learning outcomes in mind. You're here for a reason to learn something. Make sure you find them. Next is the text for the course. If there's a textbook, make sure you have it. If there's any other materials, like say a calculator, or an online access to say My Math Lab, or to some other website, make sure you have it. And next are the requirements and policies. These policies are going to vary heavily from professor to professor. Namely, make sure that you read the attendance policy to make sure that you know if you're supposed to be there every single class or not, and any behavior policies that you may find in here. You'll find things like plagiarism, what counts as cheating, what you're able to look up and what you're supposed to have on tests, like an index card perhaps. All of that information is found here in the syllabus. Make sure that you follow behavior as described. The next kind of big thing here, a lot of this typically is specific to the class, but you'll find your grading information. Here it's typically broken down into categories and how much they're worth, and how much of each of these you need to get a certain letter grade. Typically, this is described on the first day of class, but in case you have to reference it, here it is. You'll then typically find any extra credit, any kind of extra information, and the schedule for the class. As I scroll through this, you'll tend to find, usually it's at the very, very end, any important dates that you need. If you can, put this into your phone as soon as possible to help with your time management. Looking at a second example, you'll find a lot of the same information. Name of the course, contact information, learning outcomes, behavior, and the like. Required information, required text, what have you. Third example, much of the same. Name of the course, contact information, learning outcomes, policies, schedule, and grading, as I scroll through this very quickly to make that point. Now, different professors have different levels of depth that they go into about the syllabus on the first day. Some go in extreme detail, making sure that you know all the ins and outs, and others leave it on you to read. Regardless, you need to know what's on the syllabus, and we recommend that you print off a copy if you haven't already, so you have one in case, say, the power goes out or something. You can still follow along in the schedule and know where you need to be for your course. Now, any questions can go to your professor. If something's not quite clear, make sure you ask, because you want to make sure that you know, and it should be very black and white, what policies and what behavior and the like you need to be aware of to do well in this class, and to build a good working relationship between you and your professor. Nobody likes to start off on the bad foot. So at the end of the day, this has been our mini workshop on how to read a syllabus.